Hey yo, it's time to roar, get loud, let's ignite. Jeremy B in the house, we keeping it tight. Every weekday at 11, we ready to ride. Lions Talk Live, come and join the pride. Waking up early, it's that morning grind. Tune in to the show, leave the troubles behind. Jeremy B's the king, with the voice like thunder. Every word he spits, it's a lyrical wonder. Got the lions around, sharp and fierce. When we hear one pride, you can't help but feel your heart pierce. Talking all the topics, keep it real, keep it raw. With a lion's mentality, we're ready for the roar. One pride, it feels right. Jeremy B bringing the heat, morning light. Every weekday at 11, we taking flight. Lions Talk Alive, yeah, we ready to bite. One pride, hear us loud. Jeremy's in the zone, making us proud.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to the NFL Roundtable. Unfortunately, JB is still not with us, so we're special guest hosting. With me, of course, right now from is Jamie. So I'll let Jamie introduce himself a little bit to you guys if you don't know Jamie. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, hey guys. So you may know me obviously as Jamie Malloy at DJ Dog Tags. What you also may know that I'm from Driving to the Top Productions, but what you may not know is I like doing both platforms to help not just myself grow, but others help grow their podcasts and become better people as well. So I like to give back to others after I give back to myself first.
So yeah, we're helping JB out, who's going to be out for about another week or two. Hopefully be back by no later than the July 4th weekend, or after the July 4th weekend, we're hoping. So we're trying to keep his airwaves going. Keep his show alive, if you will. So please, if you're on X, Facebook, YouTube, send us your questions. Jamie, I don't know if you sent to your destinations, but just whatever NFL talk you guys want to have, we will talk about it tonight. Let me do one other thing. I'm going to send this out to a couple other people really quick. Where we go? There we go. All right, maybe we'll get some other guys to come on the show that way too. So yeah, it's kind of hard. We're just picking up for JB. We were talking yesterday at open mic. We did a lot of stuff on open mic, but not as much football. But we were just talking on Hallis Hall, because I just got done with that a few seconds ago, about the second round picks. 30 of the 32 have not signed. 40 of the picks in the NFL draft this year have not signed. 30 of them from the second round. It's amazing if you think about it. So what do you make of it? What's your take on that, Jamie?
Well, see, I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things that's happened since the CBA was ratified in 2011. But the one good thing about it is these holdouts don't take too long anymore. Usually they get it together, and I think these guys are going to eventually sign. So
are you aware of what the holdout's for?
I'm not.
Okay. So let me explain the situation for people who haven't been following this piece. The 33rd pick, the first pick of the second round, and the 34th pick of the second round, okay, were both given fully guaranteed contracts. The first ever, Cleveland started this, the first ever fully guaranteed rookie contract for a second round pick, when Carson Schweinsinger, right, got that contract from Cleveland. Houston followed that up with the wide receiver Jaden Higgins. They gave him a fully guaranteed rookie deal. Hence, of the other 30 second round picks, none of them assigned, because now they're all going, well, wait a minute. These guys got fully guaranteed rookie deals. Why can't I? So that's why 30 of the 40
See,
picks that have
that's
not
why
signed.
TJ Sanders hasn't signed with the Bills yet either. Their second round pick.
Right, that's what I'm saying. None of the Bears have 3. None of them have signed. The only 2 of the think about it. 40 players have yet to sign their deal. 2 from the first round, 30 from the second, like 5 from the third, and then just 32, 37. So like 3 from the fourth. Every 5th, 6th, and 7th rounder has signed. Something like that is how it breaks out. So but 75% of the unsigned rookie deals are all second rounders, because now they're waiting to see, hey, who's going to be the first to not get a fully guaranteed deal this year? Is it pick 38? Is it pick 42? Where's the bleed? Where does that number stop? Is it pick 40 with New Orleans taking Tyler Sugg, the QB out of Louisville? Is he where the bleeding stops? If he doesn't get fully guaranteed, then everyone behind him doesn't get fully guaranteed, right? So that's what they're waiting on. So everyone's waiting to see really kind of what Seattle's going to do. They're the next man up. So they were picked 35. So if Nick Emenwari, safety from South Carolina, does not get a fully guaranteed rookie deal, everyone behind him will probably sign pretty darn quick. If he gets a fully guaranteed deal, then it goes back to, guess what, Cleveland, do they give their running back they drafted with their second round pick a full deal? Well, they probably do. He's like, look, you got the guy 2 picks ahead of me, so now it falls to Miami. Do they pay the, what I'm saying? That's how it's going to progress. The Bears are at 39 with Luther Burden III, right? Does it get that far? Do the Bears have to give him a fully guaranteed rookie deal? So that's what these guys are waiting to see.
Yeah, I leave it up to Cleveland to do something like that. They already did it with their veterans. Now leave it up to, you could always count on Cleveland now to give everybody fully guaranteed contracts, because that's how Cleveland does things now.
Yeah, what a mess they are. In more ways than one.
I think they're at this point. They're playing with fire, but they need to win at the same time. That's what they're doing.
Well, their ownership groups likes to buck the rest of the owners, right? Because they come out and make the big guaranteed deal, fully guaranteed contract, the first of its kind. Now they go and they give a second round pick a fully guaranteed rookie deal. Every GM in the league is looking at Cleveland going, really, again? You didn't learn from the first time? You know what I'm saying? They got to be like going, are you kidding us? And so, like, the cheapest rookie contract, the last pick of the second round, his rookie deal is going to be worth about $6 million, just over $6 million. They'll make $1.2 million this year, 1.25 or something like that is what the number was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I really don't care if these guys get fully guaranteed. I'm like, dude, if you play 1 year in the league and get hurt, you still made over $1 million for your 1 year in the league. You got your little college degree, go get you a job like everyone else, right? Because if that was part of what if they get hurt in year 3? They'll still have made $2, $3, $4 million, and they can go get a job like everyone else, right? I mean, on that level, I'm like, I don't really care. I don't want to see my team get hamstrung, because one of the third rounders has a career-ending injury after year 2, but now I got to carry $4 million in dead cap space, right? That I can't use because this guy's out of the league or because he sucked. So, I mean, think about it this way. How many of us, when we got out of college, had a guaranteed contract? Look at your first job when you got out of college. For those of you who did civilian jobs, I don't really count. I went to the military, so I had to pay, I was a pay grade, right? But even then, if I got put out of the Army 6 months in, I'm not guaranteed any money. Your first job, if you got fired because you sucked after the first 6 months or first year, you're not guaranteed any money. So why should this be any different? The cheapest contract in the NFL is what, $840,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cheapest contract in the NFL for a guy on the 53-man roster. I don't feel sorry for these cats. At that level, that guy is just at practice. Those guys usually don't play much, right? I don't feel sorry for them. They're making good money to play a game that we enjoy. We don't get these kinds of privileges and whatnot from if you're a cop or a firefighter or a teacher or in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 30 of the 32 have yet to sign. That's just freaking crazy to me. Freaking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on with your Buffalo Bills, Jamie?
I'm checking to see if TJ Sanders finally signed, but he hasn't signed yet, but I still think he will. It's just gonna I think being with Brandon Beane and McDermott, like you said, these guaranteed contracts, I think he'll eventually sign, but I think things are looking good again. I think our offense is going to be the strength of the team again. The defense, I think, is improved. I really think this is the year they really got to go all the way, especially with the circumstances. And I like the fact they're still going to be able to run the tush push because it didn't get banned, at least for this year. So
this year, last year in the current stadium, right?
Correct.
What a way to go out if you could host an AFC Championship game in Buffalo and go win a Super Bowl the last year in the old stadium. What a way to send it off.
Hey, guess what? I believe the Patriots did that too. With a man named Tom Brady, they won their first ever Super Bowl at the last year at Foxborough Stadium.
They did,
and they got to open up at Gillette with a Thursday night game.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, in the AFC, my two teams that I think the AFC Championship game right now, to me, it looks like it's going to be Baltimore at Buffalo. I think Buffalo gets the number 1 seed, weaker division, so they get a little bit better record off that. I think Kansas City, if they win the West, they get beat in the playoffs, whether it be by Joe Burrow or Baltimore or Buffalo at some point. One of those 3 teams beats them. I think their run is over. 8 years straight AFC Championship. That's a hell of a run. It's got to end sometime. I think this is that. This is that
and
year.
I'll tell you, you know it's gonna run. You know it's gonna end there, right?
Oh.
I'll tell you what could not end it. Their ability, or their inability to be able to run the tush push with Patrick Mahomes when it gets to 4th and 1. Because when you watch the Bills and the Eagles, you obviously you could fear them now on 4th and 1 because they run that play. Kansas City doesn't scare you on 4th and 1 because they don't run that. They don't really run that play as much.
But Jamie, you know what else? Like Patrick Mahomes does not scare me when he runs the ball like Josh Allen does.
Right.
Like Josh Allen is a legit, like he will truck you given the opportunity. Patrick Mahomes will not. Josh Allen will
he's
try.
He's just a one-dimensional runner. That's the name.
Yeah. Josh Allen will try to run you over. And he does run people over, right?
I mean, just does that same circle move where he throws, but that's all he does. He doesn't have any other move.
And he avoids contact. He'll slide. Whereas Josh is like, yeah, let me lower this shoulder here and let you feel it tomorrow.
That old school Iron Man mentality.
Yep. I think he's a better quarterback than Mahomes too overall. That's just me.
But see, I do too. It's just right now they're judging it on the fact that he's got 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
And Allen's got none. But
I mean, great. Mahomes makes some great off-platform throws that are pretty showy and they look great. But Allen makes some good off-platform throws too, and he's just, I think, a better football player overall.
Yes,
Mahomes has had so much
too,
luck.
and I say that objectively too, not just being a Bills fan, because
Right.
I watch I get to watch a lot of Kansas City games before the Bills come on, or even when the Bills play Kansas City.
So yeah, that's the AFC. What do you think? What do you look at the NFC? Who do you think the NFC Championship game is between this year?
That the NFC, I don't know. They're a crapshoot now because the best team, the highest team, always seems to get eliminated by like the Packers or like the New York Giants upsetting the Vikings. I don't know. I think that one's a crapshoot, but if it doesn't become a crapshoot, I think it'll be. I'm gonna say, the championship that we should have gotten last year. I'm gonna say, Philly and Detroit.
There are a lot of people taking the Rams this year. And that's it. And I don't completely disagree with that. I mean, look at the Rams and the Buccaneers are two teams that get overlooked in the NFC because their divisions aren't exactly the strongest divisions in football. But
It's
they both have
their divisions are a crapshoot, like their whole conference is a crapshoot.
Well, no, their divisions aren't a crapshoot. I think like the Rams are going to win the West pretty handily. I think that Tampa wins that division pretty handily. I mean, they have a badass receiving core as it was, and then they go get Ibuka. It's like, really? And the thing, both those teams, LA and Tampa, have quarterbacks that will take games over and just do things. You're like, well, how'd that happen, Baker? Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, that happened. Well, Stafford did Stafford things, and you don't need explaining. It's like, how'd the Bills win? Well, Josh did Josh things, and you're like, yeah, I see that. They have that quality with those two quarterbacks in Tampa and LA. Baker just did Baker things. You're like, no further explanation needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the NFC North and the NFC East, the NFC North and East are they're better divisions, yes. They're going to beat each other up more, yes. But there's also, while they've got tons of talent in those divisions, there's questions in those divisions, right? Minnesota, great football team, but is their quarterback going to be at least average? Detroit, lots of talent. What's it going to look like now with this new offensive line because they lost 2 starters and new coaching staff? Green Bay, okay, they're consistent, right? They didn't have a lot of turnover, but are they really good or are they not? Are they just a middle-of-the-road team? You go to the NFC East. Okay, how good is Philly still? I think they're still pretty good. Did the Redskins, are they just an overachieving team last year? They do enough in the offseason to maintain it or grow it. The Giants, we all think they have a really great defensive line, but is that offense capable of putting points on the board? Mm-hmm. Right? So they've all got questions, right? It's like, the Cowboys, what are they? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they a joke? Are they a 15-win team? Yeah, new head coach, new defensive coordinator, got some great talent there. But what the hell are they? No one knows besides Jerry's people in Jerry's world. So I understand why you're saying how it gets more muddled in the NFC because I agree with you. I think it does.
No, it's kind of bad. It never used to be that way, though. See, back in the day, or back in your day, the 90s or whatever, it used to be the complete opposite. Even though the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, the NFC was the better conference than the AFC. Now it's like the Bills have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl because it's like the opposite.
I don't know if I'd say the AFC is a better conference because the best division in football might be the NFC North this year. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could say I think there's parity between the conferences right now. There's good parity. Mm-hmm. There's disparity in the regards that in both conferences you have 2 divisions that probably be very competitive, very good, and 2 are like it's one team and the rest of them are just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like in the AFC North is going to be really good. The AFC West is going to be very competitive. The AFC South, like really? Like after the Texans, like really?
Yeah, but here's what I know. I know everybody say Jacksonville may not be anything, but I told you don't underestimate a Liam Cohen coach type of team because he's like another one of those Sean. He comes
Okay,
from
so
Sean
in the
McVay,
East, they
but
might give the Bills a small scare, but it's the Bills' division to win. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The
the
AFC
Bills
has
aren't
got.
in the AFC South; they're in the AFC East.
I know that's what I'm saying. The East, they'll give the Bills a small scare. Okay, great. Jacksonville might give the Bills a small scare, but the AFC South.
What I was saying, those Jacksonville in a couple years though, with Liam
Oh,
Cohen.
yeah, in a couple years, yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, that's a more competitive, but that's what I'm saying. The South and the East AFC are kind of like in the NFC, like what the West and the South are there. Like you got two teams, you got a team in each one of those divisions. Like, yep, we know who's going to win that division probably. And could another team be somewhat decently good? Yeah, but overall, are they serious Super Bowl contenders? No.
I didn't say Jacksonville wasn't going to be a Super Bowl contender. I said they could be a lot better than people think because, like I said,
but that's what I'm saying, though. Like, Jamie, I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is the parity is there between the two conferences.
but
Like the NFC North, the NFC is not way ahead of the AFC. The AFC is not way ahead of the NFC. They're actually kind of equal right now in talent and teams. Like that's why we haven't seen repeats. That's why, okay, even though Kansas City's going to the Super Bowl every year, they're not winning it every year. Right? We're seeing last year, an NFC team won it. They did have the repeat, granted, but we're seeing there's parity there. There's parity between the conferences more so now than you had, say, in the 80s. Thank you for making me as young as the 90s. But in the 80s, the NFC dominated, right? The Bears, the Giants, the Cowboys, right? The 80s and 90s, the NFC dominated. Then it turned, the AFC became a little bit dominant. And there's some sprinkle pepper in there, sure. But I think right now the league is there's a lot of parity in the league right now. A lot of parity in the league. I mean, even looking, let's say, the NFC North and the AFC North, there's a lot of parity in both divisions. I think every team in those divisions can make an argument as to why they should win the division next year. Even Cleveland can make a case for winning the AFC North.
Well, yeah, dude, like I said, Kevin Stefanski, like I said, he's known for, like I said, it's his fourth year, but he's actually done a pretty good coaching job with them in the 4 years he's probably their
defense.
He's probably their best coach that they've had since they re-entered the league in '99. Stefanski, I think he is.
I mean, look, they've got a defense that is just brutal, right? I mean, they can make a case. Cincinnati got a lethal offense. They got to get a defense to go with it, but they can make a case. I mean, Pittsburgh, great defense. They have an offense that has some talent as well. I mean, and then there's Baltimore. Now, Baltimore to me is probably the best team in that division, but they can be beat by every other team in that division because it's the division, right? I mean, so there's parity there, and there's parity, I think, not just in these divisions, but between the two conferences.
Right. And what I was saying is, I said Jacksonville, I think, got an upgrade in their head coach, Liam Cohen, because, like I said, I basically knew
that Peterson was going to fail.
Most Jacksonville fans knew what Doug Peterson was. He does great in his first 2 years, wears out his welcome in his third year. He did that with Philly, won a Super Bowl for him, wore out his welcome after year 3, goes to Jacksonville, goes 9-8, wins the division. What does he do in year 3? Wears out his welcome.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, look, Jacksonville is going to be interesting to watch with their changes. I mean, there's a lot of changes by a lot of teams that weren't good last year. So that's going to be, always interesting to watch as well to see if they improve at all. Detroit is interesting in the inverse. They lost a lot. Are they going to be, how good is Detroit really going to be this year? And I know a lot of Lions fans are like, oh, well, we'll still be really good. We're going to win. Some Lions fans are saying we're going to win 15 games.
Jeremy already said, he's like, I don't think, he said 12-5. He said, I don't think we're going 15-2 again. I think,
I don't see 15. That. I don't even see 12 for them. Honestly, I can't. I can see how 12 could be achieved. But honestly, like for me, that offensive line's got to show that they're still good with losing 2 phenomenal pieces to the O-line, one the retirement, one the free agency. I think the running back room is probably the best in the division as it stands today. They probably have the best tight end in the division. The receiving core is not the best in the division. Their defense is good. So all things, in Goff, I don't know if he's worth the money. Statistically, he's a great regular season quarterback, but in the playoffs, he disappeared last year. And now with you add in the offensive line trouble, I don't know, Goff is going to be interesting to watch. I think they're in the hunt for the division. I think it's anyone's division right now. But I could see them winning 10 games. Even 12 might be a push, but how good is Detroit going to be? And like they got guys coming off injury, and some guys, they'll be fine. Like Hutch will be great. Hutch is going to have some atrophy in that leg, right?
Mhm.
I don't think Hutch is going to be like Hutch was last year when he started the year. I think Hutch takes time for him to get there. I think Hutch can be what he was at some point in the season. Maybe not from the jump. So it's gonna be fun to watch. I can't wait. We're 74 days away from NFL football returning. So we'll finally get to answer some of these questions. OTAs aren't going to answer questions. OTAs are glorified practices for the media when you think about it.
Same thing with mini camp, and then you get training camp. Like I said, they say real coaches always say real football begins in training camp because that's when the pads come on. That's a cliche.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, because dude, like, how many snaps are the Bills starters going to get in the preseason this year? 30?
No, McDermott likes to play a lot of his starters. He did last year because they had to replace a bunch of guys. That's why they lost a lot of veterans. And he wanted to see what the new starters would be able to do with Allen. So
a lot of teams, their starters don't play as much though, right? I mean, what, 30, 40 snaps tops, right? If you get 40, that's a lot from the starters. From your starting quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, stuff like that. I think that does the teams a disservice because look how bad week 1 usually is for most teams. Yeah, but real football starts, and then we can start getting questions. And really, the questions don't really get answered until weeks 1, 2, and 3. And I think by week 3, you start to see the answers a little bit, or you can tell where the answers are going overall. You can be faked out. The Bears faked everyone out last year, starting off 4-2. Right? Everyone thought, the Bears are going to be pretty good this year. They're winning games. They're 4-2. And then we lose 10 games straight. But, I can't wait till we start getting get these guys out there, start to see what this stuff's going to look like, see how these new installs are going for offenses and defense, especially teams with new coaches, see how these teams are reacting to the new philosophies. What players are going to be cut that also don't fit a philosophy with a new head coach or a new OC or a new DC, right? What trade guys are going to be out there? I think all this is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, Ted, you know what I like to say as a younger fan? Do you know when I actually think game 4 of the preseason really is?
Week 1.
No, I think it's week 18 when these teams are when some of them are out of it and they need and they just play their backup quarterbacks, but it actually counts on the for the record instead of not on the record. And
that's a good way of looking at it, I guess. Yeah, for me, week 1 still feels like preseason because it's usually pretty sloppy. But I can see that argument.
And the Bills treated week 18 like it was preseason. Remember, because Allen just went out there for the one snap so he could keep his starting record, and Trubisky played the whole game, and then
because you want to see it. You want to see what
Joe Milton's game was basically an audition for next year.
And actually, if you're a playoff team like they were, you want to make sure that your guys get some playing time before the playoffs in case they're called upon, so they have some recent game experience and that their last game experience wasn't week 3. That makes sense. But yeah, I can see that argument too, though. Like if you're a team that's not going to make the playoffs, let me see what bench guys I really want to keep and maybe promote, or where I might need to draft. Right? I mean, that makes sense. No, that makes sense, Jamie. That's a good way of looking at it.
It's kind of like it's basically saying they're using that now as a way to put more film out there.
Yeah, no, that
you
makes
don't
sense.
have the 4th preseason game; you just have 3 now.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense for teams to do that. I mean, I actually hadn't heard that one before. That one's actually pretty good. Pretty good. So, what do you think of Jair Alexander going to Baltimore in the division in the North?
I'm not really surprised. I think it was clear that, like I said, his contract wasn't guaranteed with the Packers, and it was Jair Alexander's, and it was short. It was like it was decent money. It wasn't insane money. It was money that he could have, he didn't have to sign with the Ravens. He could have taken his contract and, like I said, go to the bank with it. So that's why it was a nice low key, not money hungry
$4 million
signing.
guaranteed.
It was a football signing more than a money signing.
Yeah, it was only $4 million guaranteed, $2 million in incentives. Which Packer fans are like, wait a minute, didn't you not take a contract in Green Bay because of incentives? Well, yeah, but he also has money he's still getting paid by Green Bay. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised by that, especially when Lamar started to lobby for them to pick up that contract. Look, and Derrick Henry seems like he just gets better every year. He's going to be hard to stop in the AFC this year.
Oh, he's a bowling ball. Are you kidding me? He's the minor. I think he's like a Jerome Bettis, but he's faster than Jerome Bettis because he's built like Jerome Bettis, almost 250 pounds. But I think he's faster than Jerome Bettis.
He's like Jerome Bettis like that. He's like Frank Gore with the longevity. Because Gore was in this league, almost 20 years, it felt like?
Yeah.
And then he's got some AP in him too, right? You can break out the big one. It's just like, man, they're going to be tough. Baltimore's going to be a tough team this year. In the NFC North, we all get them.
Bills in the race. Actually, we got them as our home opener on Sunday night on NBC this year, Baltimore.
That's going to be a fun game to watch.
The last home opener at this current stadium. Couldn't ask for a better game to do.
No, that's going to be a great game. I hate that the Bears are on Monday Night Football to open the season. I'm just like, I mean, I hate it, but I don't.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the national media is like intrigued by them because they got Ben Johnson and there's all this anticipation.
Well, it's Ben Johnson, his head coaching debut. It's J.J. McCarthy's quarterback debut. It's division rivalry, which isn't as big as people think. It's not like it's the Packers, but it's still a division rival. I don't like it because I want to see football on Sunday. For Bears fans, you got to wait in a whole extra. No team wants to be opening Monday Night Football because you got to wait the extra day. It's like, no, we want to play on Sunday. Or give us the Friday or the Thursday. Let us start off early, right? But it's going to be a good game. That'll be a good game in Chicago. That's a good way for Chicago to open the year. Monday Night Football. Let's see it from the jump. Let's see how Kale and that offense does. Let's see how it's a good defense they're going to play in week 1.
Maybe him and McCarthy get into a shootout week 1. Who knows?
Oh God, I don't know if it'll be a shootout because you got 2 really good defenses. It could be one of those 6 to 9 games. Like who's going to kick the last field goal? I mean, and that's great in a way, but it sucks for Monday Night Football because you want to see a shootout. You don't want to see a game that ends 12-9 based on field goals. But like for you and I, we're like, wow, this is a great game. Whereas a lot of guys are like, this is boring. There's not enough touchdowns. Where are the big plays? And I don't think either of these defenses give up a lot of big plays.
See, the one thing, another thing about J.J. McCarthy, though, is like I said, we got to see how he does in the NFL because you got to remember he was in with Michigan. He was coming from more of he was coming from more of like a grounded, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh like I say, he runs a pro style offense, but it's more of a ground and pound.
And the Vikings did pick up a great backup running back. They got a good running back room there. But it's Loveland. It's two guys from Michigan making their NFL debut, right? You've got Loveland for the Bears and JJ for the Vikings, both national champions together. So that'll be there are some cool little sub stories at Monday Night Football game in Chicago. I just wish we played Sunday. I want my league year to start that Sunday, not that Monday. But
yeah, but what do you think? Do you think it's a transition now? For those Michigan offensive players, because like I said, they're not playing in like an air.
I think for JJ, yes, because JJ is gonna look at JJ throwing the JJ and Addison. He's gonna be able to air it out because those receivers are gonna create that opportunity.
But like I said, those players from Michigan, they come from a ground and
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So like for JJ, yes, it's more of a transition because they throw more in Minnesota. For Loveland, I mean, his production, look at last year, he averaged 10 just over 10 yards per catch, like 10.4. The year before, when they won the national championship, he averaged over 14 yards per catch. For him, not so much because he's also splitting time with Cole Kmet. So for him, I don't think the transition is as big as it is for JJ. But however, for JJ, I think it's a little mitigated because, well, he was hurt last year. So he spent the year learning the offense better in Minnesota. So he has a year of education behind him, being around the team, being in the meeting room, maybe throwing at practice a little bit, doing some things. I think the transition is bigger for JJ, but mitigated because of the injury year. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Minnesota is going to be really interesting in that regard. But that's a big question mark for them. It's just JJ because their defense is going to be stupid good overall. I think they got a stupid good defense.
Well, Brian Flores, say what you want about what happened to him in Miami, but he's a great defensive coordinator.
Oh, phenomenal defense coordinator. I'm surprised. And look they are lucky in Minnesota that he didn't get snagged to be a head coach because if Vrabel and Carroll were both not available to be head coaches this year, I think he would have gotten a head coaching gig.
Flores in New England, you're saying?
I don't know if Flores would have gone to New England, but I think Flores would have got a head coaching gig. But then you have Pete Carroll all of a sudden wants to be a coach again, and Vrabel then takes a coaching gig. I honestly, I think that
to be honest with you, I think the league wasn't. I think it's not the same without Pete Carroll in it. I feel like him putting himself back in there. It's just good for the league.
If you're Minnesota, I think you need to enjoy Flores as your DC while you can. It's just a matter of time before he's a head coach again in this league.
I love his all out attack, just blitz it while you can.
Bring everything, the kitchen sink and all. I mean, Flores will be a head coach somewhere else pretty darn quick, I think. It might be after this season. For the Bears, dude, we need to, we got Allen as our DC. Yeah, enjoy that this year. He might get a head coaching gig pretty quickly too. I mean,
obviously it didn't go very well in New Orleans, but
yeah. I'm really surprised that Minnesota made it through unscathed, winning 14 games that they did not lose their DC. That Flores is still there. I am almost shocked that Flores did not get a head coaching gig. Almost shocked. I mean, defense was.
Yeah, but you don't remember what our buddy Adam always says. It's because Sam Adams can't or Sam Darnold can't play in prime time. Remember, he always says that.
But that's what I mean, though. That's why I'm really surprised that defense was so good. How did Flores not get a head coaching gig?
Yeah.
Ooh, could Flores be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers if they don't win a playoff game this year?
Brian Flores?
What if if the Steelers
I would
don't-
love that. That would be. I think that'd be. No, he fits Pittsburgh. I think he's a blue. He plays he has a blue collar, type of mentality.
I mean, how does he not with Tomlin? If he doesn't win a playoff game, it's 10 years without a playoff win.
Well, guess what? I think Tomlin's gonna be gone because like I said, I think signing Rodgers. I don't want to speculate, but I think they did that to try to finally get Tomlin fired, having Rodgers in there.
Yeah, because if you don't win a playoff game with Rodgers this year, you're gone. And then Brian Flores will become the new head coach in Pittsburgh because he fits them, like you said. Blue collar, great defensive mind. As long as he can bring in a good offensive coordinator, yeah, I could see that happening. And then Tomlin won't take him long to get another head coaching gig, but I could so see that happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see. I finally see Adam's point of view about Tomlin. I think the reason why he says that I don't think he ever thought he was a bad coach. He just thinks he's worn out his welcome.
Well, there's some of that for sure. And then some people think there are people in the league who don't think Tomlin's a good coach because then look at his Super Bowl team. He inherited that Super Bowl team from Bill Cowher.
See, I think he's wearing out his welcome now, but he's always been a good coach, I think
there's a little bit of both. I think, yeah, you're right. He's probably worn out his welcome, but look at his only Super Bowl win was the team he inherited from Bill Cowher. He didn't really have to do much coaching. He had to do some, so he's still a good coach. He's not terrible.
But he's still after Belichick, he's actually the longest tenured coach in the league.
I mean, I'm saying he wins games.
And that's hard nowadays when everybody just seems to get fired.
Well, no, he's a good coach. He has winning records every year, but dude, that team that he took the Super Bowl was Bill Cowher's team that he took. I mean, he still had to coach him, so I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not like the Messiah or this great coach. He's a good coach, but he's not a great coach. That is what some people will say.
Pittsburgh's
I mean, it's like Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers has won Super Bowl, and that was a team that he inherited from Brett Favre. So I mean.
Yeah, but you got to remember,
there's an argument to be made in these situations.
He sat behind Brett Favre for 4 years, though.
I understand that. That's what I'm saying. The team that he took to the Super Bowl was a bunch of guys that Brett Favre had. And then when he had his own guys, they never got to a Super Bowl.
Jordy Nelson, I don't think was a Brett Favre guy, though. He was a Rodgers guy.
Yeah, he might be the only Rodgers guy from that Super Bowl team.
What about James Starks? Was a Rodgers guy because he got drafted. That was his rookie year, the running back.
Rookie year. But see, these arguments, though, there are some good people will make these arguments. There is a little something to them. But Tomlin, I think if you don't win a playoff game, you're gone in Pittsburgh. And then Brian Flores is just waiting. I think Flores,
you know what the problem with Green Bay was? Rodgers was a good quarterback. But he never. The problem was he had to do it all basically with no running game and basically.
Well, the problem with Green
underachieved with Tom Capers.
The problem with Green Bay is they were the best of the worst. The NFC North was probably the worst division in football for a majority of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're always the best of the worst, you're not getting those big draft picks. Green Bay doesn't like to sign historically big contracts.
But they've always believed in building through the draft, though. That's how they.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't get the free agents, and then the draft. You're always drafting middle to back end of the draft. You're not getting those big studs in 1 through 12.
Yeah.
Right. You're still good, but you're kind of just maintaining being this level of good. And that's where Green Bay got stuck. In all honesty.
Or what about the fact they would never draft receivers to help?
Well, 20 years without drafting a receiver in the first round. This, Golden's the first one in 20 years. I mean, and so I
think he's going to be really good, Matthew Golden.
He might be pretty good for him. We'll see. I mean, but the thing with Green Bay is, I honestly think Green Bay is almost better off missing the playoffs and getting a top 10 pick for once. And getting some of that blue chip, like really, really good early part of the draft talent throughout a draft year.
They did that, though. the narrative about them being the model franchise, they would lose that from the media. And I think,
Who cares
I think they would be scared of.
Well, Greg, in 30 years you've had in
basement.
30 years you've had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and you have 2 rings to show for it. You don't have a great. You've gotten some playoff wins, but you don't ever really go that deep. You're never even really considered a Super Bowl threat by most analysts or places. It's always someone else is the darling. And then you look at a team like Philly, they've been to 2 Super Bowls in just a couple of years. You're like, so for Green Bay, I mean, honestly, lose the narrative. Who cares? The narrative isn't putting Lombardis in your trophy case, right? Just don't be what Chicago was or Detroit was or Minnesota was. Go ahead. If you have a bad year or two and you can get some good early draft capital versus later.
That's what Adam wants Pittsburgh to do is have a couple bad years and finally draft top.
Here's why. Look where the Bears are now. Look where Minnesota is now. Look where Detroit is now. Because these guys amassed a lot of good talent in drafts by picking early in the drafts and got stud players. Right? Whereas Green Bay was still getting good players, but they weren't getting the studs of the draft. You need to get a stud now and then. And considering Green Bay doesn't like to spend money in free agency that way, right? I mean, and look, they get lucky. They hit on some 4th rounders, some 3rd rounders. They do get some guys here and there. But when you're consistently picking at the end of every round, you're getting less talent than the other teams around you. Eventually, they're going to catch you if they're managed properly. And right now, the NFC North is managed properly across all 4 teams or the other 3 teams. So Green Bay, not only have people caught up to them, they're passing them. That model franchise thing hasn't won them many Lombardis. It hasn't gotten them many NFC. Aaron Rodgers has won just as many NFC championship games as Rex freaking Grossman.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
I told you, I think this goes back to the point where I said, during that era, he had to basically carry the whole team. Because like I said, he basically had 0 running game and he had an underachieving defense.
They would the Packers didn't have 0 running game. Here's what the Packers deal was. They'd have a guy who play have a really good year running back, and then the next year they'd be gone. They did get some good years with some good running back play. They usually had at least one receiver that was a Rodgers favorite that was good. Their defense was usually pretty stout.
It underachieved a lot though under Dom Capers though. That's the thing.
They did some, but their defense was pretty good overall. But that was the problem though. They never had that player that took them with Aaron to the next level. So you're right, Aaron carried a lot of the load, and they never brought in another player that could take some of that load off Aaron and elevate the team. So they were stuck at this level of being the best of the worst, and they're still stuck there to some degree because even though they've had some success with Jordan Love, they're still not adding that top-end talent in the draft. They're at the back of every round. Everyone's getting the better talent ahead of them. So when you pick your wide receiver at 20 and the Bears take their next receiver at 39, there's not much difference between them. But when you take a receiver at number 9 versus a 20, there's a big gap, right? So that's the problem. The Packers would have been better off in Jordan Love's first season as starter, not even making the playoffs, to be honest with you. But they did, and they had a good run. They won a playoff game. That hurt them even more in the draft. Last year, by going one and done, helped them. They got a little bit of a better draft pick than if they had beaten Philly.
You know, the scary thing is they were that close to upsetting San Francisco in the divisional round the year they beat the Cowboys. That's the scary thing. Yeah.
They overachieved that year a little bit. They got really good on the back end of that year. The front end of the year, they were that good. The back end, they were really good. But that's where Green Bay's been. And that model, if you have a really bad division where every so often one of the other teams figures it out and catches lightning in a bottle for a year, yes, the Packers are the way you run your team. If you want to win championships, well, look to what Philly's done. Look to what Kansas City's done. It's a different model.
Well, no, what they did was they beefed up their defense, and Jalen Hurts is a decent quarterback. And like I said, but the one thing he's got, he's actually got superstars around him that is
that's what I'm saying.
Whereas Aaron Rodgers never had that. Jalen has had the pieces around him
Philly has
elevated
more.
win a Super Bowl.
Philly has more top 15 picks on their roster, and they went out and they would get the big name free agent or make the big trade, blockbuster trade to bring guys in. Green Bay doesn't do that.
Right, and they told Jalen Hurts, you don't have to play like Josh Allen, just manage the offense and don't screw it up.
But that's what I'm saying. They're the complete opposite of what Green Bay did. The model isn't Green Bay. The model is Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So Green Bay, it would behoove them maybe to lose that word, the model of consistency. It might behoove them to lose that for a year or two and then build a really good team and maybe get to a Super Bowl.
Hey,
I don't think the Packers get.
You know what the model could be?
Huh?
The Bills. They were 17 years of not making the playoffs, and look at them now.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You got to go through some hardship. You just do. And the Packers haven't gone through hardship in about 30 years. They really haven't. They're about due. But the problem, they haven't really endured hardship. They've been the best of the worst in the NFC North. They have moderate success because they go to the playoffs a lot, but they don't have the trophy case.
Right, and everybody overhypes them as like this great franchise.
And the Steelers are the same way. 10 years, great. No losing. Tomlin's never had a losing record. Great. They've been in the playoffs for 9 years in a row and not won a playoff game. Great. You're consistently a good above 500 football team that can't win a playoff game. They're the model of what you need to be. No, they're not, because they don't do anything come the playoffs. They got that kid with the stick poking at him going, come on, do something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to get this season started and answering some of these questions, but that opening night for you guys in Buffalo is going to be fun. I'm going to watch that game on Sunday Night Football for sure.
They're looking for revenge after, like I said, Mark Andrews dropped that pass and we beat him to go to the AFC title game.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's going to be a fun year. And I don't think we're done with some signings. I think we're done for a couple of weeks. We won't see anything. Camp's in 2-3 weeks camp starts?
Yeah.
Steve comes in. Yeah, Tomlin is overrated. I agree.
Yes.
I think we'll see some shifting in the power in this league. I think the AFC West is a much better division this year than they were last year overall. The NFC North is going to be pretty good. The NFC East is going to be pretty good. I think the AFC West is going to be interesting because I don't know if Kansas City wins that division this year, to be honest with you. I think they got some good competition in that division now. In both LA and Denver. And the Raiders are on the periphery. They could make some noise.
Yeah, but obviously, because Pete Carroll's got that he's got the reputation, so.
And he's got his quarterback. Right? Geno's his guy.
Yeah.
He got his quarterback. And they've got probably the best tight end in football in Brock Bowers.
Yeah, but Adam really likes that Cam Miller guy or whatever his name is that they took in the 6th round.
Yeah, but they still got Brock Bowers. I mean, that's you.
No, Cam Miller, the quarterback, the one they took in the 6th round.
Well, I know, but they made the big deal to get Geno. Geno's going to be the starter. I mean, that kid might be the backup, but it's all about Geno and out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got Bowers, and he's got a good receiver. Yeah, Kansas City, they might not even win the division this year. Wouldn't it be a shocker if Kansas City does not make the playoffs this year? Would you be shocked if KC doesn't make the playoffs? Would that shock you, Jamie?
I would, but I wouldn't at the same time. But because teams are going to figure out, like I said, what did Buffalo and Philly do to them last year? If you run the tush push and you out physical that tires a lot of teams out. And Chris Jones is like one of the best defensive tackles in the world. And he said he was exhausted because the Eagles kept running that play.
Well,
so I think if you don't have to play him on. If you can't stop him on defense, just out tire them on offense, and that's how you beat them.
It's not just the tush push, though. It's that KC, even the regular season last year, wasn't a dominant team, right? Especially early on. They're not a dominant team. In fact, their defense carried them the first part of the season. And now their division's better. The teams in their division are better. So, I mean, if KC doesn't, it would not surprise me if KC does not make the playoffs this year. I would not be surprised if the Chargers unseat them in the throne, and even if Denver passes them. Like, KC just hasn't been the same wow team the last 2 years. Each year it's been harder and harder for them to get there. Yeah, they've been great in the playoffs. They still get to the Super Bowl, right? But
they keep losing all they're losing all they're finally starting to lose all their weapons that made them.
Well, and they lost Tooney to the Bears this year, so there goes some for the protection from Mahomes, which is an offense that historically the last couple of years doesn't start off fast.
But the Chiefs did rebuild their O-line, and they got a lot of O-line people in the draft.
Yeah, but you got okay, great. But you're going to tell me some kid they took in the draft is going to replace Tooney? No.
That was their issue last year. Their offensive line actually wasn't that great.
Right, but you lost one of the best left guards in football, and now you're going to replace him a guy that you took with the second to last pick in the first round, or the second to last pick you got in the second round, or whatever it is. I mean, no, that offensive line is going to be a little worse this year than it was last year to start. And they're going to lose some games early this year that people go, oh my goodness, because they start slow to begin with, and now their offensive line isn't as good as it was last year. Not like Kelsey's all world anymore. He's still good, but even he's starting slow. That offense is kind of anemic. And okay, Steve says 9-8 is his prediction for KC. They might at 9-8, you might not make the playoffs. I would not be shocked to have Kansas City miss the playoffs. Now, look, I could be completely wrong.
I think the dynasty's coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, I could be completely wrong. They could win 11, 12 games and make the playoffs. But honestly, I would not be shocked if they missed the playoffs. And that's the thing for fans, man. It's hard for fans to accept. Turnover happens. One day you're an AFC champion. The next year you're not even in the playoffs. Remember, it used to be teams that went to the Super Bowl sometimes the following year didn't even make the playoffs. That happens a lot in the NFL, right? That Super Bowl hangover. KC's been lucky overall in that regard. I don't know if she's going away. Are they still a thing, Taylor and Kelsey?
Yeah, they said they still might. No, they're still dating, but they said they still might date even when he retires. So they said that.
Sorry, Steve, you're going to still have to see the Swifties at Kansas City games, but we'll see how quickly they start to not watch if they're not winning. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the AFC West. That's going to be a division I think we all are going to be watching some. Our respective divisions, your division, my division, we're obviously watching those. But Kansas City is going to be a team to keep an eye on out there with the Chargers coming up, the Broncos coming up, the Raiders looking like they're a much better, improved team with coaching and personnel. That division's not a lock for them anymore. But let me, hopefully, guys, we'll get JB back. But let's finish with an old JB tradition here. To all the Vikings fans out there, you can go get skull fucked. I'm trying to do my JB voice; it's not as good. And of course, when we talk about the Packers, fuck the Packers.
FTP.
And you know what? Look I'll make fun of the Bears a little bit too. I'll let Jamie do the Bears.
And lastly, fuck the Bears. Skull. It's like saying score, but with a penis in your mouth.
And lastly, if I can find it, because he's got it buried in here somewhere, where is the one I have to show? Well, I'll take this down so people don't get too offended. People might get offended. Where is his last?
Yeah, but remember what Jeremy says. This is the 18 and over rated podcast.
Yeah.
Remember?
And just remember, if you live in Flint, Michigan, where the water may suck, but at least the tires are good, he has a tire place for you, and I can't find the picture for it to put up for you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know where it is. Oh, and of course, don't forget, he might be back eventually as Kitty Cat Ken. Maybe he'll make an appearance next week. But guys, thank you for tuning in, helping us keep JB's page going while he's out. We'll see you back here again next week for the roundtable. Thank you, Jamie. Don't forget to go catch Jamie on his network and everywhere else that we're out there. I need a model of Mountain Dew and a smoke. Yeah, maybe, Steve. Thank you all for joining. We're now over time. Real quick, name of your network there, Jamie, for everyone.
Driving to the Top Productions.
There you go. Hit them on YouTube. Catch us on the socials on X. They're all there as well. We'll see you guys next week, guys. Have a great week.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the Huddle.